Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the previous lesson, we discussed the additional letters that are attached to the fi'l madi. Some of these are attached pronouns that serve as the fa'il, while others are particles with distinct grammatical functions. If you haven't yet watched that lesson, I encourage you to do so, and it will greatly assist you in understanding the i'rab of the past tense verbs in Arabic, inshallah. Today, inshallah, we're going to learn the same for the imperfect verb known as al-fi'l al-mudari' in Arabic. In the previous lesson, we learned that al-fi'l al-madi is mabni, meaning built or fixed, meaning it has a fixed ending. So it could be mabniyun ala al-fath, as in fa'ala, mabniyun ala al-dhamm, as in fa'alu, and mabniyun ala sukun, as in fa'alta. Contrast that, al-fi'l al-mudari' is mu'rab, yani declinable, which means it can have different endings, but with exceptions which we'll learn in this lesson, inshallah. When we speak about nouns, we have cases, which are al-raf', that is the nominative case, al-nasb, that is the accusative case, and al-jar, that is the genitive case. However, in verbs, we do not have cases. We have moods. And there are three types of moods in verbs, which we'll learn in coming lessons, inshallah. For now, just keep in mind that al-fi'l al-mudari' by default is marfu', which is referred to as the indicative mood in English. In this lesson, we're going to explore the signs which indicate this mood in al-fi'l al-mudari', inshallah. So let's take the basic fi'l mudari' pattern, which is yaf'alu, and conjugate it. As usual, we have verbs for al-ghaib, the third person, al-mukhatab, the second person, and al-mutakallim, the first person. And for each, we have mudhakkar and mu'annath, that is masculine and feminine. And we have al-mufrad, al-muthanna, and al-jam', that is singular, dual, and plural. Now the conjugation goes as follows. For third person masculine, yaf'alu, yaf'alani, yaf'aluna. For third person feminine, taf'alu, taf'alani, yaf'alna. Now for second person masculine, taf'alu, taf'alani, taf'aluna. Now for second person feminine, taf'alina, taf'alani, taf'alna. Now for the first person, both masculine and feminine, af'alu, naf'alu, and naf'alu. Now let's bring the first pattern to our attention, which is yaf'alu, in which we see the letter ya attached to it in the beginning, known as harful mudara'ah, meaning the particle of imperfect. And we see nothing else attached to it. So the i'rab goes as follows. يفعل فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة, meaning an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the visible dhamma on its ending letter. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هو, and the doer is a hidden pronoun estimated to be huwa, meaning he. So yaf'alu means he does. Next is yaf'alani. Here we again have ya in the beginning, which is harful mudara'ah. At the end we have alif, which is aliful ithnain, yani the alif of dual. This is the attached pronoun functioning as fa'il. And the letter noon is alamatul rafa', yani the sign of the indicative mood. So the i'rab says يفعلان فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون. An imperfect verb indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the presence of noon. So here the letter noon shows that this pattern is مرفوع. وألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل, meaning and the alif of dual is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place doer, يعني it is فاعل. So يفعلان means they two do. Next we have يفعلون. Apart from حرف المضارعة, we have واو, which is واو الجماعة, يعني واو of plural, which functions as فاعل. And the letter noon is علامة رفع, that is the sign of the indicative mood. So the i'rab goes as follows: يفعلون فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون. Again, an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the presence of noon. وواو الجماعة ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. And the waw of plural is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place doer. So يفعلون means they do. Next is تفعل, which is for third person singular feminine. Here the letter ta attached in the beginning is harful mudara'ah, and we do not see anything else attached to it. So i'rab goes as follows: تفعل فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة, يعني an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the visible ضمة. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره هي. And the doer is a hidden pronoun estimated to be هي, يعني she. So تفعل means she does. Next is تفعلان. Again, apart from حرف المضارعة in the beginning, we have ألف الاثنين, which functions as فاعل. And the letter noon is علامة الرفع, that is the sign of the indicative mood. So the i'rab says تفعلان فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون. Again, an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the presence of the letter noon at the end. وألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل, meaning the alif of dual is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place doer. So تفعلان means they two feminines do. Next we have يفعلن. Apart from حرف المضارعة, we see noon attached to it, known as نون الإناث, يعني the noon of feminines, which functions as فاعل. Moreover, we see a sukun on the third radical, which means that this verb is مبني. So يفعلن فعل مضارع مبني على السكون لاتصاله بنون الإناث, meaning an imperfect verb built on the sukun because of its being attached to the noon of feminines. ونون الإناث ضمير متصل مبني على الفتح في محل رفع فاعل. And the noon of feminines is an attached pronoun built on the fatha at the nominative place doer. So يفعلن means they feminines do. Next is for second person singular masculine, which is the same for third person singular feminine. However, the i'rab is different. In this pattern, we have حرف المضارعة ta attached to it in the beginning, and there's nothing else attached to it. The i'rab of this pattern goes as follows: تفعل فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة. An imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the visible ضمة. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنت. Now here we see the difference. In this pattern, the doer is a hidden pronoun estimated to be أنت, meaning you. So تفعل means you do. Next is تفعلان, which we did for third person dual feminine, but here it is for second person dual masculine, and it will be the same for second person dual feminine, and their i'rab is same as well. Alhamdulillah. Let's do it once again. In this pattern, we have ta as harf al-mudara'a and alif as alif al-ithnain, and it functions as fa'il. And noon is alamatul raf', that is the sign of the indicative mood. So, تفعلان فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون. يعني an imperfect verb, indicative, and a sign of the indicative mood is the presence of the letter noon. وألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل, meaning and the alif of dual is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place, doer. So تفعلان means you two do. Next is تفعلون. Apart from harf al-mudara'a, we see waw, which is wawul jama'ah, and it functions as fa'il. And the letter noon at the end is alamatul raf', that is the sign of the indicative mood. So, تفعلون فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون. An imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the presence of noon. وواو الجماعة ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. And the waw of plural is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place, doer. So, تفعلون means you all do. Next pattern is تفعلين, which is for second person singular feminine, in which we have ya known as ya ul mukhatabah, meaning the letter ya of feminine addressee. In other words, second person singular feminine, and this ya functions as fa'il. And the letter noon, as usual, is alamatul raf', that is the sign of the indicative mood. So, تفعلين فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون, meaning an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the presence of noon. وياء المخاطبة ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. And the ya of feminine addressee is an attached pronoun built on the sukun at the nominative place, doer. So, تفعلين means you feminine do. Next we have تفعلان, which we already did 2 times. So, following it is تفعلن, which has a sukun on its third radical. So, it is considered mabni. And noon is noonul inath, yani noon of feminines, which functions as fa'il. So, تفعلن فعل مضارع مبني على السكون لاتصاله بنون الإناث, meaning an imperfect verb built on the sukun because of its being attached to the noon of feminines. ونون الإناث ضمير متصل مبني على الفتح في محل رفع فاعل. And the noon of feminines is an attached pronoun built on the fatha at the nominative place, doer. So, تفعلن means you all feminines do. Next is for first person singular, both masculine and feminine, which is أفعل, in which hamza in the beginning is harful mudara'ah, and there is no other additional letter attached to it. So the i'rab says أفعل فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة. يعني an imperfect verb indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the visible ضمة. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره أنا. And the doer is a hidden pronoun estimated to be أنا, meaning I. So أفعل means I do. Next we have نفعل for both dual and plural and masculine and feminine. In this pattern, the letter noon in the beginning is حرف المضارعة, and there is no other additional letter attached to it. So the i'rab goes as follows. نفعل فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة. يعني an imperfect verb, indicative, and the sign of its indicative mood is the visible ضمة. والفاعل ضمير مستتر تقديره نحن. And the doer is a hidden pronoun estimated to be نحن, meaning we. So نفعل means we do. Alhamdulillah. Now let's do a quick recap. In the patterns يفعل, تفعل, أفعل, and نفعل, the fa'il is ضمير مستتر, يعني a hidden pronoun. For يفعل, it is هو. For تفعل, it is هي. And for second persons تفعل, it is أنت. For أفعل, it is أنا. And for نفعل, it is نحن. And in these patterns, the sign of the indicative mood is the visible ضمة. And the feminine plural patterns, which are يفعلن and تفعلن, the fa'il is نون الإناث. And these two patterns are مبني على السكون. Then we have the patterns which end on the letter noon. These are known as أفعال الخمسة, يعني the 5 verbs. In these 5 verbs, علامة الرفع, that is the sign of the indicative mood, is ثبوت النون, that is the presence of the letter noon at the end. In the plural patterns, which are يفعلون and تفعلون, the fa'il is واو الجماعة. In the dual patterns, the fa'il is ألف الاثنين. And in the second person feminine singular pattern, the fa'il is ياء المخاطبة. Another point, حروف المضارعة that are attached in the beginning of each of these patterns are one of the following. Hamza, Noon, Ya, and Ta, and these particles are put together in a mnemonic أنيت. So we have Hamza as in أفعل, Noon as in نفعل, Ya as in يفعل, and Ta as in تفعل. Finally, a very important point. In the pattern فعلنا, the letter noon is referred to as نون الإناث by some of the grammarians, while some call it نون النسوة, which is an attached pronoun. Since it is a pronoun, there's no doubt in it being an ism. This noon is found in feminine plural verb patterns only, and it functions as fa'il, as in فعلنا, which is a فعل ماضي pattern, and in فعل المضارع patterns, it is found in يفعلن and تفعلن. On the other hand, we have another noon with a shaddah on it, as in فعلتن. This noon, which I said is for the plural, is known as نون جمع الإناث. It is a particle that indicates the feminine plural, and it can be attached to verbs with ta, which is ta'ul fa'il preceding it, as in سمعتن, in which سمعتن is فعل ماض مبني على السكون لاتصاله بتاء الفاعل, يعني a past verb built on the sukun because of its being attached to the ta of doer. وتاء الفاعل ضمير متصل مبني على الضم في محل رفع فاعل. And the ta of doer is an attached pronoun built on the dhammah at the nominative place, doer. والنون للجمع, and the noon is for plural, and this noon is نون جمع الإناث. and it can be attached to nouns with ha or kaf preceding it. For example, madrasatuhunna and madrasatukunna. Likewise, it can be attached to particles, as in alayhinna and alaykunna. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Make sure you provide me your feedback in the comments. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.